Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's June 13th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and really nice trading day today. A little more volatility today. Um, for the most, really for intents and purposes, it was a range day. We really traded down from maybe 9:30 on, so we had a nice two-tiered channel here. There was a shorter term one in here, but really, we didn't break lower consistently until almost 2 o'clock. So really, most of the trading day we were in a trading range, and there's two equal tiers here. This is actually a little lower. This one kind of moves right across there like so. But that's what I was looking at today. It's a two-tiered channel, and a lot more trades today. You can see that there's more trades in here today than what we have been seeing. And once we broke higher here, just look for kind of a measured move up. Earlier high was just, oops, it's just a little higher here at that point. That's where I would have had that. And if you measure that, and once we started going higher, you just look for a measured move, and you can see that was a perfect measured move for the most part. So, and I would have been looking for that to be your target, and then I would have looked for it to. You got to be careful right in here because you might bounce and stay in this upper half. So you really need what you get a little breakout pullback short there before I'd go short, and I make sure off that shorter term. You can see there's a shorter term channel in there that we end up overshooting, but there's a larger two-tier channel. We overshot that too. So a lot of times that'll lead to a reversal, but it didn't really here. So anyway, let's back out, talk about the trades, and wrap it up for today. When I came in, it was, you can see we're clearly going sideways here. Um, we were just worked to the low. We bounced, and we should have made a retest here. There's actually a second entry short here. I didn't like taking that one because I wasn't sure if we weren't going to go all the way back up to the high again. And so, but when we made this lower high and got that big bearish bar, I like going short right there. And that turns out to move all the way down the other side. So that's a nice trade. And then there's another pullback here. This is like a double test of this area right across here. I don't have the line on there, but there's a kind of going sideways here, and we're kind of stuck in here. And you can see we pull back, test it, and then get that big bearish bar. And there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of that EMA right there. So I felt pretty confident we're going lower, and it's off that trend line. So and you got room to get out. So that's the main reason I like it. It's a couple of different tests off the EMA. It's a breakout pullback short. More than anything, it's just a key entry point, that trend line down through there, and pulls back and it can't close outside it. And you figure it's going to test this low and maybe this low, and it makes a perfect double bottom. I made this one green. I don't think I would take this trade. We are coming off the low. It's pretty obvious it's a trading range, but there's no break of that trend line yet, and that can be risky. So, I did make it green because it's a fairly bullish bar. We're a little bit away from the EMA. There's a good chance we're going to snap back to it, and there's a good chance we may even go the other side. And you can see we just keep working higher. We get a little close out here and two swings to a new high. There's a little bit of a trap, but that bar ends too bullish. And then by the time you get this bearish bar, you're just going sideways. But when it pushes down and turns up and makes that little double top across there and gives you a bearish bar, it's almost a repeat pattern here. And so I like going short then. And again, it's off that trend line. I really thought we'd go all the way to the low side. It makes it a little higher low. There's a failed second entry long there, but this bar is so big that I don't think I would enter here. You got to figure prices are probably coming here, so I was a little surprised it bounced. But look how we're going sideways, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one's definitely a doji. Of course, you might have wanted to enter on that one, but it's such a big bar. Um, that the only way you could enter would be with a limit order back up in here some, and you probably would have gotten burned on that one. So um, if you went short, there's not much else you can say about it. You misread it. So, um, but that one was real tempting because I was tempted to take it too. And but when it had such a big bar and you got really up down down, it's like a up down down bar and then this real neutral bar. If it would have turned above it and turned back down, I'd say, and you had enough room to get out before you, I'd say yeah. But then it shoots up and it turns down right off the highs again. That's the first break of that trend line, so you figure it's going to retest it again. So I like that one for a short. Big bearish bar, good bit away from the EMA. And again, I thought it'd probably take all off and shoot to the bottom, but it doesn't. It makes a higher low. So this is a good place to go long because now you've got a failed second. You can treat that like a failed second entry short. Look at the new low. First entry, pull back, second entry. And when it fails, I mean, we really should have at least tested this low, if not the low. So when it fails, that's telling you something. I would measure this leg right here, and I would measure the range just in case we went higher. But I'd measure that leg and look for a measured move on that. And then I would measure this right here and look for a measured move up there. And that's more likely to be the more accurate one right there. So you don't know that it's going to shoot through here. When it pulls back, it gives you a failed second entry short here, and it is a breakout pullback long. So technically, that one should probably be green as well. I think it's a little risky, but it is right off that trend line. It does confirm it. It's a breakout pullback long. There's some reasons to want to take that trade, especially with two. That's like you got your low here, then you got one higher low, another higher low, a second, and then a third higher low. It's a failed second entry short. A lot of different reasons you might want to take that trade, so I'm going to go ahead and make it green. It's just not a very good signal bar. You actually have to use this for your signal bar, and then by the time you put your stop down there, that's a really big move, so I think it's a little risky. And then you've got a double top, so that's like a new high first entry. This is like a second entry long, but there's not a whole lot of room here. It would have worked. Again, it probably should be green, but you definitely have to put your stop here, and you have to get in with enough room to be able to get out here. And I don't know if you could do that because it gapped across there, and you probably wouldn't have been able to get back in it. So without entering a limit order, the best you would have probably done was right there, and you don't have room to get out. So I really don't see you taking that trade. There's a break now and a new high. Big bearish bar, but again, it's too bearish, and it's still a bigger trend here, so I think you're better off to wait. Notice you got a little trend line working back. That's the first close outside. It tries to make a retest, but the upper midline holds. Was the upper resistance, now it's the midline, and then we test it again and it holds and turns up. I like going long there. Again, it's a fairly big bar, so you might use a limit order, and you could have gotten filled all the way back to here when it came back. I like this trade. This was a great one. This was one where you could add on, and you'd had a double set of runners going here. Depending on where you got in here, that is. If you move your stop instantly to break even, you may have got stopped out. But I liked adding on there, so that was a nice double set. And you're looking for that measured move, and it goes almost to the tick. It actually goes one tick further, so you could have gotten out within 2 ticks of the high if you just put your exit order right below that measured move. And I don't think you want to go short here yet because there's no break of this. When it makes this failed second entry long here, it does it twice and gives you that big bearish bar. You figure we're coming back to here, especially when it couldn't get to the high up here and it hit that measured move. Then you got to figure, hey, this is definitely probably range. This one could be, it's real close to being green. Being right into that EMA, so it probably ought to be green. I'm going to change it. There's reasons to argue it for it not being green. Uh, but most people are, you got to be real leery of that trend line that's been working all the way up because it's right back into it. It's right into the EMA. But there's a couple of traps there, and it's definitely a range day. But it could have easily hit there and bounced and made a new high. So, or tested this high again. So I'm going to change that one to green. And then you make a swing low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. Look how it double tests that point right there in the EMA and gives you that big bearish bar. I like this one because you're probably coming back to the midline. Just make sure you got room to get out before you get there. Wouldn't have mattered. It bounces and gives you another second entry, but I don't think you want to go short with that big bar right into that. So just wait and see what happens. And then it bounces one more time and it comes right off that shorter term trend line again. And that's a breakout pull back short. And a couple other things going on there too. So I like that one. And you don't know that it's going to take off like that, but it does. And you could ride this one all the way to the lows. And I even like possibly entering here if you saw this. At first, this looks like a just a channel, and this looks like the trend channel line. But when it shoots under it and tests it and turns down, it gives you that big bearish bar. We're probably headed to here, and there's probably going to be an equal distance, and this is probably a midline, and that's what it turns out to be. It ends up overshooting even that. It was really negative down through here. So this one is green, but if you saw that and you understood what was likely happening there and that we're headed down to here, I'm okay with you being aggressive if you're taking that one if you're trying to be aggressive. But notice we shoot below the lows here. You got a big bullish bar, but it closes right into that line. It's still a little ways from the EMA, but again, I don't think you want to take it. And then notice how everything's closing below right there. Nothing can close above until here, and then you're right into the EMA. So it doesn't really give you a chance to enter here. But when you get that, when you push on through the EMA and pull back, and you get that failed second entry short, look at that new low, first entry, second entry, and it's crawling right off that shorter term trend line there. It's the first break. I like that one, figuring it's going to come to the other side here. It's an easy scalp, but it doesn't make it back up here. It turns back down. Again, if you want to be real aggressive, and it is the first break of this shorter term one in here, so if you want to be real aggressive, you might consider taking that one, but I was a little leery of it because we weren't back to the key entry point. But again, that one could be, I mean, that one could almost be red too, looking at it after the fact. But looking at it in real time, I probably would have made it green because I didn't like it at the time. So, but notice what happens. You make a new swing low, and then first entry short, second entry short, and you definitely don't want to be going short right into that support there. So when that fails, I like going long, figuring we're definitely headed back to the other side. And that's exactly where we go. But notice on this trend line, we don't have a close outside. This is the first close. We pull back, and there's a failed second entry long there. Notice pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It fails. There's no setup long there. But I like taking that trap and going short. You can see that they trapped people. It was a big move down. And then it pulls back and it turns down off that key entry point again, and you still got room to get out again. Doesn't matter, it goes even lower. So another great, so this was two. There's your first leg. Then you're looking for a measured leg. It actually went further than that. Again, it's tempting to even go long right here, and you can argue that. So again, I'll go ahead and make that one green. It's getting late in the day, so you got to be careful. But when it makes that double bottom and that bullish bar that far away from the EMA, it's probably coming back. Notice it does before it goes down. I wouldn't go short again. It's right back to that support. It would have worked, but I still wouldn't take that one, not without any close outside of this trend line. That's the first close outside, and it runs to a new high, and then that's your first break of the bigger two-tiered channel here. Look how bearish that bar is. It's right into the 2 o'clock, but if you took that, when you ride it all the way almost, you could have ridden it all the way down to the close. When it bounced here off the lower side, I probably would have exited. But that was a nice setup. And even this short would have been nice. It wouldn't have been at 230, 240 actually. So 2 o'clock is generally our cutoff time. And I got a question on that the other day. I hadn't talked about it in a long time. The market doesn't close till 3:15, but I don't think it's very wise to trade after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Standard Time. Generally, I like to be done by 2. I like to really be done by lunch, but 2 is kind of the ultimate cutoff time for our rules. And the reason is that we have more crazy things happen late in the afternoon. And if you make a mistake, you don't have time to make it up. If you make a mistake at 8 or 9 in the morning, you got all day to make it up. But if you make it at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you don't have time to make it up. And so, and for whatever reason, there's more traps and crazy swings and crazy things that happen after 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So, I don't have any data to back that up. That's just my experience. And it could just be something personal with me since I haven't run the data on it. But you can look at the price action every day and see that there's a lot of times these crazy moves. Like this was just a crazy move for that late in the day. I mean, we were sideways all day long, and then all of a sudden, boom, right before the close, the bottom falls out of. And I tell you what, you should have, if you were had a run or anything going, look for a measured move for the whole thing. And you can see, actually we didn't get there before the close, but that would have kept you in this thing until the close. And first I would look for just 1/2 of that. And if it kept going, I'd look for the whole thing. So you'd start there being your measured. And you can see we bounced to the tick before we made the next one down. And that would have just given you the next one down. So anyway, really good trading day. A lot of trades today, a lot of volume today. Maybe things will pick up here a little bit. I like these range days because they're pretty predictable. You just got to be real careful once you've got a set. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Once you've got a set midline here, and you know you've got equal distance, be careful getting long right into that or short right into that. You got to treat it like you want to see like a breakout pullback type entries before you actually trade that. So keep that in mind. What else? I think that's about it for today. So again, lots of trades today. The shorter term trend lines pretty much held and worked. And you know, always draw those because it really helps keep you on the right side. And there were a few green ones in there today. Earlier on, I only had 2 marked, but looking at it kind of after the fact, there's probably 4 or 5 there, it looks like. So 5 of them actually, 6 maybe, yeah. But they're aggressive, and you got to be careful with those. You really need to be on cue, and you really need to make sure you're reading everything perfectly. Because if you're not, you can, you know, those can trip you up. So, but anyway, that's pretty much it for today. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.